Alright, welcome to week 11. Here's what we're going to cover in this week's class. So in this week's class, it's all about site plans. In Revit, they call them toposurfaces. Okay, so we're going to look at how to generate a toposurface using a CAD file. We'll talk about splitting that surface into multiple surfaces so that you can add different materials to it. We'll talk about how to manage a site settings. We'll talk about creating parking components as well as other site components like cars, trees, planter boxes, etc. And then I'll hand out assignment number 3, step 4, which is obviously adding a site plan to your assignment. Alright, so what is a toposurface? A toposurface is a graphic representation of the terrain of a building site or plot. The toposurface may include contour lines to represent elevations. So if you take a look at this toposurface here, you can see these squiggly lines here. So these lines here, these curved lines here, are called contour lines. And each contour line depicts a certain elevation or height from sea level. Okay, so that's how we create a site plan, is by utilizing a toposurface. Alright, so let me just minimize this and we'll take a look. So I'd like you to open up this week's week 11 lecture file, -start. Okay, and this is the building that we've been utilizing throughout the term, and we're going to add a site plan to this. Okay, now before we add a site plan, I do want to show you, okay, what is called a contour map. Okay, so we have it here in AutoCAD. Normally when you get a site contour map, it's probably done in AutoCAD form, okay, by a surveyor or surveying company. And what it has on it, and you can see on this particular one, is has these curved lines. And each of these curved lines depicts an elevation. Okay, so you can see this one here on this drawing is at 0 elevation. And then you'll see the next one is at -5 and -10. So you know that from this contour map that the slope of this land is going downwards. Okay, is going downwards. Now if you go to the other side, you can see that it says 0, 5, 10. So this is positive and it's going upwards. Okay, so you could see that the lowest point on this particular site is down here, and the highest point is over here. So we're going to utilize this contour site plan, okay, to generate our toposurface. Alright, so let's get back into Revit here. And the first thing we're going to do is let's get into our site drawing. Okay, so right there. And what I'm going to do with this site drawing is I do want to turn off a few things here. I'm going to go ahead and select the grid lines, do a right click, hide in view category. So I'm going to hide those. Okay, I'll hide these as well. So I'll do a right click, hide in category. Okay, I'll hide those. Okay, so there you go. Maybe I'll even just hide this word refrigerator here. Alright, so I'll just again hide. In this case, I'll just hide that element. Alright, so there's our building. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and add my contour. Now remember, my contour is a CAD file, so we're simply going to insert that CAD file. So let's go insert, import CAD. Okay, I'll go into my week 11 folder, and there it is, lecture site contour. Okay, I'm going to load that in. And once it's loaded in, you can see that the building itself, there's the outline of where my building is going to be positioned, but you can see it doesn't line up with my building, so I'm going to have to go ahead and line that up. So I'm going to select it, unpin it, so that I can move it. You can now see I can move that. Okay, and I'm going to set my my visual style to wireframe, so I can really see the corner of this building here. It's very hard to see it. Maybe I'll go from a 3D view. Okay, so there's my 3D view, so I can really see the corner of the building. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm simply going to select my site plan, click onto my move command, select this corner right here, okay, and then move it to the corner of my building. Okay, right there. Alright, so there you go. You can see how it lines up. Alright, so that's the first step, is putting in your, and again, this is just a 2D contour map. Okay, you can see right now there's no height involved with any of this. There's no toposurface. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'll go back to my site plan. and I'm going to generate my topo surface. Okay, so now I'll pin that back so that it's not movable, and I'll begin. Now, before I begin, I want you to set the detail or the visual style. I'd like you to set the visual style to wireframe if it's not set there already. And the reason why I'm doing wireframe, excuse me, is so that when I create my topo surface, okay, you may not be able to see your CAD file unless your topo surface is visible. Okay, so sorry, you're not able to see your CAD file if your topo surface you're not able to see through it. Sorry, so as I was saying, set your visual style to wireframe so that when you start creating your topo surface, there may be times where your topo surface will be over your CAD file, so you won't be able to see it. Alright, so now that I set my visual style to wireframe, I'm able to create my topo surface. So I'm going to start at this 0 elevation line right here. Okay, so here's how you create a topo surface. Please go under Massing and Site, and please click onto the command topo surface. And we're going to use the pick point method to create this. Alright, so the first step is we're going to start at the 0 elevation. So please make sure that your elevation reads 0. And all you simply have to do is start to pick points along this elevation. So let's go, I'll just move this out of the way here, and let's start. So I'll start at this endpoint here, and I'll just pick some points along this. Okay, so once I've gone ahead and picked points along here, and here's what you want to do. When you get into an area here that has a great deal of curvature, okay, you want to make sure that your points are close together. But as you get to points where it becomes straighter, okay, we can go ahead and enlarge the distance between our points. So once I get into, again, an area here with a bunch of curves, I want to keep my points relatively close together. Okay, so again, I just pick points along this 0 elevation. Now, there is another 0 elevation line in this drawing here. You could see it right here. So again, I'll keep starting. Now, if you forget, or let's say you want to add another point, no problem. Okay, just add other points in between it. Okay, so go ahead, pick some points, and again, when you get to areas that have curvature, you want to keep those points relatively close together. When you get to points or areas on the line that are a little straighter, you could space your points out a little bit further. Alright, so there we go. There's a bunch of points along my 0 elevation line. Alright, once I've done that, I now go to another elevation. So let's say we want to do this -5. Okay, so we got to now type in -5 feet. Okay, don't forget the foot symbol there. -5. I go ahead, and again, when it is a straighter area, we can go ahead and pick further points. When it's curved, we're going to pick points closer together. Alright, now this line here is -10, and you can see that's a perfectly straight line. So I don't need to pick points, I just need to pick the end point and the start point. Alright, so there you go. So that is the ones on the negative side. Now let's start doing ones on the positive side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and type 5 feet. And again, we pick points along this 5 foot. Okay, now be wary of the fact that you're going to get a bunch of contour lines starting to show up here. Okay, so you got to kind of zoom in there just to, again, I may have add a few more there. Okay, so just pick points again along that. Okay, and if I didn't have my wireframe or my visual style set to wireframe, it's right about now where I realize that some of this topo surface will end up going on top of my CAD file, and I won't be able to see this line. Okay, so again, if you're having that issue where you can't see your line because of the topo surface, you have to set your visual style to wireframe. Alright, so next one is 10 feet. Again, pick a couple points along that 10-foot line. All right, next one is 15 feet. Okay, so I will do those and I'll meet you back on the next video. Alright, so now that I've finished picking all my points along all my elevations, making sure that I changed my elevation height every time I got to a new line, I now click Finish. Alright, so now that I've clicked Finish, I now have a three-dimensional topo surface. So if I now go into my three-dimensional view here, I could clearly now see that it's no longer a two-dimensional representation. It is now a three-dimensional representation. Okay, now you will also notice that my topo surface, okay, is earth. Okay, you can see how it's brown, it's earth. Okay, now go back to your site. I want to show you a thing about managing your lines, okay, meaning your settings. Okay, if you take a quick look, you'll notice that at the top here, okay, I've got a hard line, a solid line right there at every 10 feet. And every increment of 1 foot, I have another topo surface or a topo contour line. But you'll notice that in the bottom here, there's nothing. Okay, here's why. Please go under your massing and site and go and click onto your site settings. Okay, and you can see here that it has a dark line, a bold line at every 10 feet. Okay, I want to change that. I want to have it every 5 feet. Okay. Let me get back to that. Okay, so I set it to every 5 feet. You'll also notice that it has every 1 foot. It has incremental contours. Okay, but it starts at 0 and only goes to 1,000 feet. Okay, it doesn't go into the negatives. Okay, so if you want to see those in the negative section, we got to put this to negative. So let's say we put minus 20 feet. Okay, and if I apply it, you can now see that there you go. Okay, so again, I've got a hard line at every 5 feet, and then I've got another contour, an additional contour line in every 1 foot, starting from minus 20 up to 1,000. Okay, so now I'll click OK, and you can see now that every 5, okay, I've got a hard line. Okay, let's take a look down here. You might be able to see it better. Okay, right there, you can see every 5 feet, I've got a hard line. Okay, and I've got an incremental at every 1 foot. Okay, those are under your site settings. Alright, next, let's take a look at the materials that are found on this site plan. So let's go into our 3D view again, and you can see that by default it's got an earth. Okay, but here's what I want to do. I want to change it all to grass. Okay, but there are going to be some areas that are not going to be grass, but the majority of it will be. So I want you to select the complete topo surface, and right here, okay, you can see there's the material right there. Okay, there's the surface material. So I'm going to simply change that. Alright, so I'll go into my material browser, and I'm going to search for grass. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to type in grass and see what I come up with. Alright, so once I type grass, you can see there are a couple of grasses here, plant grass or regular grass. I'm just going to go with the regular grass here and apply that, okay, to my topo surface. So now you can see there's grass. Okay, now there are certain areas here that I don't want to be grass. Okay, I want this way to be asphalt. Perhaps I'll put concrete on the front there on the path. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my site plan. I'm going to set my visual style now to, let's say, consistent colors, or maybe we'll set it to realistic so I can see the grass. Okay, but now I want to do a split surface. Okay, now when you do a split surface, we must make sure that we can only split the surface into 2 pieces. Okay, so my first split is going to be along this line, and then my second split will then be along this line, and then my third split will be in this area here, and then lastly my fourth split will be inside the building. I want to get rid of the topo surface inside the building. So I'm going to do 4 different splits on this one. Okay, so here's how you do a split. Please go under Massing and Site and click on Split Surface. Now the first thing you have to do is you have to select the surface that you wish to split. So let's select this entire surface. Once I've done that, I can now go into my line tool and trace around my first split. Okay, so I'm just going to start here, go to here, and again, remember, we could only split it into 2 pieces for every split command. Okay, so there's one split right there, and I need to finish that. Once I finish that, you can see now it's divided up into 2 surfaces there. Okay, now I'm going to take this lower surface here and I'm going to split it along there. Okay, so again, I go to my split surface command, I select the bottom part now, and then I'm going to do a straight split right across. Okay, remember, you could only split it into 2 pieces for every command. Okay, so there you go, I've just split that. Okay, now next, I'm going to split this bottom piece, and I'm going to split it along there. Okay, so let's go ahead, split surface, pick this bottom piece now, and then I'll use my rectangle tool, and I'll split it. Okay, I'll zoom in here. Okay, maybe I'll set it to wireframe so I could actually see it. Okay, so again, I'll use from there all the way, if I zoom in, just try to find the end of that line to there. Okay, I'll click finish. Okay, there's my split there. Okay, you can see I've got a split there. And then the last split, okay, and I'll do this one from a 3D view because it might be easier. Okay, you can see there's my splits, is the split inside the building. Okay, because I really want you to take close attention that there's actually grass inside that building. We need to remove that. Okay, so we're going to do one more split surface. I'm going to choose not that surface, I'm going to choose that surface. Okay, then I'm just going to use my line tool and I'm going to trace around, okay, the perimeter of this building. Okay, so use your endpoint. Okay, pick the perimeter of this building. Okay, orbit around, hold down your middle scroll wheel and your shift key. Alright, so all the way around right there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Alright, so you can see it's selected. Now I'm going to press delete. Okay, so there we go. Okay, I'm a little slightly off on there. Okay, a little slightly off. Maybe I'll have to move, or actually, I don't have a foundation wall there which would cover that, so I'm just going to leave it for now. Okay, so there we go. You can see now I've got all my split surface. I've taken it out of the building, but now I'm going to go ahead and now change the material of some of these things. Okay, so I'm going to change this material here. So I'm going to select it. You can see by default, because I changed it to the grass, I'll go into here. Okay, and then now I'll look for asphalt. Okay, so right there, asphalt pavement, let's say. Drag that up. Okay, asphalt pavement. Okay, so there you go. Good. Okay, this here, I'm going to make this one, say I make that concrete. Okay, so just a precast maybe, or lightweight concrete. Okay, so there. Okay, now maybe I want to add an island here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my site. Okay, maybe I want to add an island, so no problem. I'm going to go ahead and split surface again. I'll choose this surface here, and I'll maybe just use my rectangle tool. Okay, and I'm going to create an island here. Okay, maybe I'll round off the corners. Okay, maybe my radius, I'll leave it at 1 foot. Okay, so rounding off my corners here. Alright, like that, like a curb. Okay, so there we go. And then I'll go into my 3D view to take a look at it. There's my curb, and again, maybe I want to change that to concrete as well. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so that is utilizing the split surface tool to be able to put different materials on your surfaces. Alright, next, let's add some components to the exterior. The first component that we want to add is we're going to add parking components. Okay, so let's go back to our site. Alright, I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'll set my visual style back to realistic. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add some parking. So to add parking, we're going to go right here under massing and site. You can see here parking components. Okay, and you can see right here we've got some typical parking sizes, or not sizes, but actually just angles, different angles. Now obviously, if you want to create different sizes, just like we do anything in Revit, edit, duplicate, revise, right? So I'm just going to choose the 9 foot by 18 foot 90 degrees. Okay, and I'm going to add one. Okay, I'm going to use my space bar, and I'm going to start it right here. Okay, let's say we start it right here, right there. Okay, so there. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to press escape. Now, you'll notice that one side is yellow, but the other side isn't. Okay, because obviously when we copy that this side will be yellow over here. Okay, so once you put one in, go ahead and use the copy command. And the reason why we're not inserting it over and over again is because then you're not able to pick the endpoints of this. By using the copy command, we're able to pick endpoints. Okay, so I'm simply going to pick the endpoint here. Oh, I'll turn on my multiple command here, my multiple option, and I'll just keep picking endpoints all the way across until I get to the other side. Okay, so a few more here. Now I do want to put one on the end here. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to put one more, even though it's over the edge here, but then I'm going to flip it. Okay, so I'm going to select this one. I'm going to do a mirror command here. So mirror pick axes, and I'm going to pick this line here as my axes. Okay, and I've just mirrored that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete this last one on the end. Okay, so there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and mirror this whole thing. Maybe I want to put this on the opposite side. Okay, maybe there might not be enough room, but let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to select all of these. I'll use my mirror, and I'm going to draw an axis this time. So maybe my axis is going to go along here. Okay, so there it is. Okay, that doesn't look like there's enough space there. Okay, it looks pretty small, but I'll move that back a bit. Okay, maybe I'll move the whole thing forward just a tad. Maybe, or this part here, I'll just move even the, I can't move the island because I already did a split. Okay, maybe I'll just leave it at that. Okay, but you understand, I mean, I could put more parking over here, I could put some down the side here. Okay, that's how you go ahead, and I could put some, maybe these ones here, I may have to put angled ones instead. Okay, but that's how you put in parking. Okay, now let's go, on the next slide I'll show you other components. Alright, next let's put in some other components. Now before I do this, I'm going to turn off, and you can see here I've got my my level lines showing. So I'm going to just go ahead and hide those. Right click, hide in view category, get rid of all those. Okay, so I can see that, perfect. And let's go ahead and add other components. Okay, so let's go under site components. And when you click on site components here, you can see that I can go into my properties panel, and you can see there are already trees that are already preloaded. Okay, so I could go ahead and put in, let's say, I don't know, let's say I put in honey locust. Okay, now by the way, you can see there are different heights on these trees. Obviously, again, we could do the same thing we do with anything in Revit, edit, duplicate to create other sizes. Okay, so let's not go crazy. Let's put in a few trees here. Maybe I'll put in this crabapple tree. Okay, and I'll put one in right there. Okay, now when you put these in, okay, these do take up a little bit of memory, okay, so they're pretty high in memory in terms of size, so try not to put too many, okay, these in, okay, so there we go. All right, so there's a site component. Let's go ahead and look at other site components. So click on site component. Now let's click on load family. Okay, so we go into our US Imperial folder, okay, and I'm going to go under site. All right, so if I go under site, you can see under accessories, I've got things like a bike stand, a bollard, okay, we got a building sign. That's kind of neat because there's an actual sign text on there that you could alter. Okay, let's go ahead and put it. I'll start with a bike stand. Okay, so I'll put in a bike stand. Again, these bike stands are just like any ordinary component. Okay, you can see it's red there, so you can always edit it. Okay, edit its material parameters just like any other one. Okay, let's go ahead and put in another thing. So let's go site component, load family. Okay, let's put a park bench. Okay, maybe I'll put a park bench on the front here. Okay, again, I can use my space bar to rotate it. There we go. Okay, I'll load family again. Okay, maybe I'll put in, I want to show you the sign here. Okay, so building sign. Okay, maybe I'll put it, oh, looks like the building sign has to be brought in as a regular component. Okay, so for the building sign, I'm going to have to go into architecture, component, load family. Okay, there's my building sign. Okay, so right there, I'll put it right in front of the building here, let's say. Okay, and you can see that there's text on there. Okay, so if I clicked onto that and went to edit type, okay, you can actually see there's the sign text right there. Okay, so you can put in whatever there. Maybe I'll just put in my name there. Okay, Sancho's building. Okay. Alright, so you can see there's the sign there. Okay, let's put in some other things. Okay, here's one I really like. Okay, is lighting. Okay, exterior lighting, very important. Let's go ahead under, now the exterior lighting is under components. Okay, so click on load family, place a component, load family. We'll take a step back. It's under the US Imperial. It's under lighting. Okay, just like we did with interior lighting, but this is now exterior, so external lighting. Okay, you can see there are some bollards here. I like these bollards, okay, because they got a little light fixture on them. Okay, so if I zoom in, there's a bollard there. Okay, maybe I'll put in a few of them at the front of the building. Okay, bollards are safety, so that, you know, a building doesn't, or a car doesn't go and crash into the front of the building. Okay, I'll show you the other ones, which are very nice. I like these street antique lights. Okay, so I'll put those in front of the building here. Very nice, very decorative. Okay, maybe I'll put a few of them, maybe one more here near the building. Okay, very nice. Okay, look at this one. Okay, so again, under architecture, component, load family. Okay, this one, street lights, standard street lights. Okay, so we'll put some in the parking area here. Okay, so I put a few of them, and you can see you can rotate them. Okay, so maybe I'll put a few of them down here. Probably better if I had it in the top view so that I can actually line them up. Okay, but there are a couple of street lights there. Alright, so there's a few of them that you could do. Okay, again, there's quite a few others. If you go into massing and site, okay, under site components, load family. Okay, now there's another one here that I'd like to show you. Okay, and it's under, believe it's under plantings. Okay, and there's some shrubs here. Okay, so if you wanted to put some low height shrubs, okay, you could put them in front of the building here. Okay, something like that. Maybe too close to the building there. But then there's other ones here. Okay, boxwood. Maybe I'll put one of those. Okay, something like that. Okay, maybe move that. That's hitting the building. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so just again, last one. Okay, let's go under architecture, component. Let's go into here. I already have them in here, but there are people. Okay, maybe you want to go ahead and add, okay, some people to the front of your building. Okay, and again, I could use my space bar to flip her around. Okay, so there you go. Okay, there are all my exterior components. Alright, now that we've created our topo surface and added some components, exterior components, let's go ahead now and create a rendering. Okay, so let's create an exterior rendering. So let's go back to our site. What I want to do here is I want to first start by adding a camera. Okay, so let's go under our view tab, under your 3D view command, expand it, and there's your camera view. Okay, let's say I want to get a view. We'll use the offset distance of 5'6", so eye level. Maybe I'm standing right here on the near the parking area here, and I'm going to view the front entrance of this building. All right, so there we go. There's our exterior view. You can see our components on there. Okay, let's also set our crop size. So let's set our crop size to 10 by 8. Okay, remember your crop size is your printable size. Okay, you can see you get a much wider cone of vision. Okay, I can go into my my navigation wheel here, and I can pan if I wish to give that a bit, center it perhaps. Maybe I'm going to zoom in and out a little bit. Okay, maybe something like that. Okay, maybe I'll go in just a bit. Okay, so there, and maybe I'll just pan just a little slightly downwards. There we go. Okay, so perfect. This is the rendering that I want to create. Okay, so let's set our visual style to realistic just to take a look. Okay, there we go, and let's go ahead and render this. Okay, so to render this, let's go under our view tab. Let's click on render. All right, we'll do a medium setting. Okay, or let's just do a preliminary draft one first. Okay, screen resolution, exterior sun, and let's go ahead and put an image. Okay, so I've downloaded under week 11 a blue sky image. Okay, so all right, so I'll load that in. There it is. I'll stretch it. Okay, there we go. And then let's just do a quick rendering here. All right, I'll show you this on the next video. Alright, so I created an initial draft rendering, but then now I liked what I saw. No changes I need to make. So now I'm doing my higher quality rendering here. Okay, so I set my settings to medium. Okay, my resolution was set to printer resolution at 150 dpi. Okay, I did an exterior sun only. I kept my image. Okay, and now I'm just going to simply adjust the exposure. Okay, so I may want to make it darker or brighter. I'm going to try a little bit darker here. Okay, maybe that's too dark. Maybe I'll leave it pretty much as is. Let's see what it looks like brighter. Okay, yeah, I think what I had it originally set at was fine. So go ahead, adjust your exposure if you wish. I'm just going to cancel out. I like the way it looked. And now I'm going to save it to the project. Okay, I'll call it exterior. Okay, there it is. There's my so here's your next step in your assignment. Okay, so assignment 3, step number 4. Okay, adding a site plan. So you're going to open up your assignment 3, step 3. Okay, and you're going to insert the CAD file that's entitled step 4 toposurface or topo site plan .dwg. Okay, so I've created an AutoCAD file that I want you to, that's your site plan, okay, with your contour lines and your elevations. Okay, please make sure once you insert it to move the drawing appropriately so that the building lines up with the outline of your building. And then you're going to create your topo surface, just like we did in today's lecture. Okay, you're also going to do a split topo surface and apply different materials. You're going to make sure to remove your topo surface inside the building, very important. Okay, you're going to add some site components like parking, trees, and other accessories, especially outdoor lighting fixtures. Okay, you're going to add a camera to the exterior of the building, and you're going to generate an exterior rendering. Okay, that exterior rendering, please again make sure that the crop size is 10 inch by 8 inch. Okay, and your DPI is 150. Okay, you're going to save the rendering to the project, and you're going to submit this step, the Revit file. Okay, please submit this into the Dropbox.